So I served 15 years as a naval officer. The majority of that time I spent in naval special warfare. And so I have a lot of memories. One in particular was from a time about, it's 15 years ago by now. Far off place. We'd been up for a while doing counter-smuggling, interdiction operations. This kind of crusty, gnarly old SEAL chief, probably older than a normal chief ought to be, but he'd been around for a while. Looks over at me, tells me I'm dead tired. We'd been up for about a good 2-3 days in a row without sleeping more than 10-15 minutes at a time. And he looks at me and says, when you're this tired, it's a really good way to be when you kick in a door. And it's funny because I thought about it. It was such a weird thing to say. But what he captured was this feeling when you're just running on fumes where there's really nothing else left. It's like a hollow feeling where fatigue has taken everything but your base operating system away. And learning how to live with it, learning how to keep your mind, learning how to deal with other people and frustration was a valuable lesson. And I thought that the extreme parts of that were going to be over with once I left that life. And surprisingly, there's a lot of transfer into parenting, especially in the early phases, especially for us as special needs parents. I left my wife with a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 4-month-old on my last deployment. So it was actually on that deployment that my middle son was diagnosed with autism. And so flash forward now, he's 13, and we are still one happy family, warts and all, difficult times, and he is 13 and a beautiful boy, but he is still very much on the autistic spectrum. There's these things that we think we shouldn't have to do, or these things that I can't believe I've got to still deal with this, or man, I ought not have to deal with this right now. And there's these kind of tedious things that they just feel like tasks to get through, and that ultimately there is a certain amount of them and you'll be done them, and then it's over. And that's not the way the world works. It's not the way parenting works. There's always something. And one of the beautiful things about parenting is these tasks, these things that you have to do, they're put towards the service of parenting. They're put towards the service of your children. When I'm in the middle of one of our seasons of difficulty, I have to be intentional about my mindset, because it's really hard. It's near mathematical that once you start to let certain thoughts creep in and start to dominate your perspective, your heart follows, and with that starts your actions, and then from there it starts to unravel. So I think the critical role that faith plays in the journey for me is that while kind of these burdens are out there, my faith is super valuable at helping people through burdens. Prayer is a huge part of it. Prayer helps get your mindset, helps talk about the problem in a different way, helps keep that mental pattern that you are trying to avoid from seeking in. The community of groups, when we get together and we sit in circles instead of rows, and we pray together and we lean on each other. The parenting journey is not one that was designed to be done alone. It's designed to be done with others. It takes a village. I know it sounds like a campy saying, but it's a good one. It's been around for a while. So parenting is a wonderful, wonderful experience, but it is hard. It is more difficult than I ever would have imagined. It's difficult for us. It's difficult for everybody. You will do things and you will see things that you never thought you were ever going to have to do over and over and over again. And so it's extremely helpful for me to think, again, as this is the service that I'm providing, and I am a person who believes in service. My faith teaches it of me, demands it of me. And so I do these things not because I want to. I do these things because they have to be done. That's just the deal. If you take the day off, they're there tomorrow. And when it comes to your kids, you don't get days off. And so my faith, my ability to pray, my ability to lean on Jesus in those times when it doesn't feel like I'm going to be able to get through it, it's all empowering. It makes you unconquerable.